Welcome everyone to the Season 5 Finals of the Board Gaming Fight Club League. I'm your host, TrulyFriendlyFoe, and with me I have Bob. You want to introduce yourself, Bob?
I've been part of the Board Gaming Fight Club for past few seasons, competitor here in Colorado.
So Boomy Crawdad starting us off with 4 reds in a row, putting them on the 5th line. So this seems like a lucky start to get 4 of a kind. What do you think?
It definitely is. It's just an unfortunate color because you don't want to put it on that 4th row. It's not great to start on either of the sides there. Made the smart choice, went on the 5th row for it, which I like. And it's unfortunate to Ultajim that he doesn't get that choice of first player time.
Nothing thrown into the center. That's a very unusual starting situation. So Ultajim may be looking at going last in the second round if Rob, the 3rd player, aka Abacus, is able to take from the middle right now. Do you think he will?
With so many 2s out, I think he might just go with 2 of the yellows and put that on row 2, finish one of the rows. Going 3rd in a round, it may not always come back to you. You may get less turns this round, and so you kind of want to finish rows. If he took one of the 1s, he would have to play that on the 1st row probably, and both of those are over towards the right. They're not great tiles.
It would be nice to be able to put it on the 3rd row and then take a pair next, but these 2 colors, the flower and the black, do not have good options for filling out a 3rd row. They're both a little bit scarce on this board, so it would be very dangerous to put them anywhere but the 1st row.
Right.
Ultajim putting 2 in the 3rd row. Blue is in the very center. Is this your favorite opening to start on the 3rd row?
It is. Getting that blue in the middle just means that your adjacencies start immediately, where you're going to start scoring more points in those early rounds.
Azul is a game of staying connected, and we see Abacus, Rob, playing 1, so he really wants to go first in that second round.
Yeah, and I think that was the better choice of the 2. There's plenty of yellows for him to try and get that row 3 yellow, and if he gets lucky, that pair of reds as well, and then he's off to a really good start. I tend to think that you want to be looking at those middle 3 columns and getting a 1st row, a 2nd row, and a 3rd row in those 3 columns. 3 by 3, you'll get more points. But it looks like Jim went and took the 2 reds. There's plenty of yellows, so it's not a rush for Rob to get that pair of yellows. He might be looking at how he's going to get the 3rd row, or might be plotting out which column he really wants. One of the challenges in Azul is that you want to get one of the columns vertically to get that bonus 7, but you tend not to get several tiles placed in the bottom row or the bottom 2 rows. You really have to be efficient.
Ultajim placing his reds means he's going to need a lot of yellows next round. In order to connect the 2 red and the 3 blue on his board, he'll need a lot of yellows to make that into a cube.
I would definitely be worried about that. 6 yellows are out here, which is slightly more than you would expect. If there's not many there, then he's going to have a tough time connecting.
Another thing that makes that difficult is he is the 3rd player in that second round, making it even harder to get the yellows that he needs.
I wouldn't be surprised if he took the 1 red and just denied that from Boomy. Row 5 here.
I like that play a lot because the finished row 5 is just a great way to get off the starting block. And 6 yellows still there. Some player may be putting yellows on row 4 or 5 just because of the vast quantity we've got sitting out here.
If they get pooled together, someone's going to end up wanting to take that and just getting it rather than taking something that's going to clog their board for round 2.
This was a critical play for Ultajim. He did not block the red, but he's also exposed to not finishing row 3 if someone steals a blue. Do you think that's a risk for him?
It is. That's a decent one for Boomy. Boomy doesn't need to rush to get a yellow in row 1. Taking that blue and putting it on row 1, and then next turn getting a yellow on row 1 and white on row 2, pairs up all the adjacency, and he's going to score really well. So I would look for Boomy to take that and deny the tile for Jim. It's harder in 3 and 4 players to really think about blocking. It really has to work out for you as well when you're going to try and block.
And he slams that out. In no time at all, he grabs that blue. So Ultajim may have to turn around and block the red, but not finishing row 3 seems even worse than having row 5 unfinished here.
Yes, I agree. I really like Boomy's start to this. He's going to get at least 3 rows and most of that bottom row.
Very powerful. Nice to be the starting player. Nice to start with 4 reds, and he's followed it up well. Now Rob at the bottom here as Abacus made an interesting choice to put 2 yellows on the 4th row instead of the 3rd. It avoids putting one on the floor, but that point doesn't matter as much as which row gets the tile. What do you think of that decision?
I think I would have tried to get it on row 3. My general strategy is to try to get those 3 every time, especially early. Get something in row 1, 2, and 3. Just trust that over the course of the game, you're going to find enough adjacencies and you're going to find the time to sneak some things onto the bottom 2 rows and fill those out for your column.
Now, he did say at first, because when you enter the 4th or 5th round, you might not be able to finish off row 3 and make it a full horizontal row for an extra 2 points, but that's not as important as getting your foot in the door in the first few rounds.
I think those are gonna, he's gonna put those on 3 and just get it started because there's nothing better. I was surprised that Jim blocked instead of starting row 5 just to give him that column in the middle that he looked to be building. It might have made sense to pick the blacks. He played defense, and now Boomy's a little clogged. And if a lot of things pool at the end of this, there could be some minuses for him.
This is a critical round for Boomy Crawdad at 1-4-5. He's had such a great start. His tiles that he's placed are in good positions. He's played 3 versus the other player's 2. If you just look at the first 3 rows, he snaps up that 1 red in order to start in the 3rd round. I love that move. There's plenty of blacks to finish row 4.
And there's a good chance for him still to get yellows in row 1 and yellows in row 2 and score adjacencies and be just fine on those top rows. He can miss out on row 3 if he gets 1, 2, 4, and 5.
I don't see 2 whites happening, but just the fact that it could happen gives him flexibility.
They are single tiles by themselves, so those end up in the middle. All it takes is someone wanting one of the other ones in those pots, and you kind of wait around for that opportunistic chance to snag both of them.
With Rob going right before him, also needing 2 flowers, it's going to be tough to steal those.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is where I might take the 2 yellows and discard 1 for Abacus, because you could have denied the 2 from Boomy having even a chance on that 2nd row, and he gets no adjacencies on that 2nd row. It's a -1, and it's unlikely to matter in the end.
That is a high-level move. Take 2 yellows instead of 1. Still put them on the 3rd row, but then there are not enough yellows left in the entire pool for Boomy Crawdad to finish his row 2. As it stands, he'll finish it right now. Oh, he goes for row 1. This move really surprises me. It seems like row 2 connectivity is more important, but what do you think?
You know, I'd have to slow it down and think about some of the math, but I think he would have been just fine taking something else on row 1, a red on row 1 and the 2 yellows on row 2. That would be a better option because you would get both rows. And here he's basically got no chance for adjacencies on row 2.
Rob would have to give it away here to connect these flowers for him. Probably not going to happen. Because his rows 4 and 5 are full, any minuses now are -2 each. So that could come at a higher cost than it felt at the time.
Yeah, so Boomy took the 2 off of the floor instead of spilling the blues into the middle and speeding up the round. That's one of the things that, like when you have choices of whether to spill things into the middle and speed up the round, or to take them from the middle and slow the round, it can give you extra turns. And you kind of have to decide, do you have a board that can handle the extra tiles? And we really can only handle 2 rounds now, something on row 2 and something on row 3, but it's unlikely if it comes around a 3rd time to be able to play those, whatever tiles he has to take.
His board is filling up. If he'd spilled 2 blues into the middle, there would be a set of 3 blues, which it'd be interesting. I think Abacus would be tempted to take those. It would go with his column. So it would still leave Boomy without the 3 blues. He may be going for blues next in the hopes of hitting 3. Every player wants flowers here. And the single flower is put on row 1, denying everyone else.
Abacus is still doing just fine up there with getting those first 3 rows, and they're all matching up with something. I feel like that's a decent start. He's going to take 2. That denies Jim the chance to finish row 5.
A denial against Jim and a gift to Rob here. Abacus needs blue on his row 4, so he might be very happy to see these blues still available. Jim choosing what needs to go on row 1 here.
4 turns left. Jim's going to get another turn.
Rob may just take the flower here and leave his options open, since Jim is eyeing the same tile for himself. Going into the 3rd round here, I still like Boomy Crawdad's position, but do you think Rob is caught up a bit? This looks pretty good for him.
I do. I thought he did really well. And if he puts those 2 blues on row 4, if he's able to get those as well, taking the flower now and getting those, then I think he's got a really good chance.
Looks like he may be throwing a black on the floor for his final move. Oldie Jim has the chance to deny that flower. It's not a big deal either way, 1 point, but the other ordering with the flower first may have been better. Boomy Crawdad clears his board. Very good total number of tiles placed, and he's the first to finish a column.
And with the nice clean board, he's the first to go in this next round. If there are 3 blues or 3 blacks, you can expect those to be grabbed quickly and get a full row in row 3.
We do not see 3 of a kind. Which colors do you think most hotly contested by the players here in the 3rd round?
Well, I would expect Boomy to be trying to get blue in row 3 and yellow in row 2. Jim's going to be contesting those yellows as well. So
look at Rob's board. He would love to have 3 blues and 2 more blues for his incomplete row 4 there. There's a lot of demand for blues, far more than are available. Boomy sees it coming and he takes 2 for himself.
I think Jim wanted 2 blacks anyways, and getting the first player tiles and setting himself up for next round is as good as he could do on the first turn.
He's nearly at his first column complete as well. Just needs 2 flowers, but Rob puts the brakes on that. He takes 2 flowers himself, and he's close to his first column. Just needs 2 blues. Pair of yellows, as you call it. We're going to see the blues and yellows disappearing now, as those are the most demanded tiles.
Jim might take the 2 yellows and start row 3, hoping to get 1 more of them. That might be the move, hoping that 2 blues end up getting pooled and get that for row 2 later.
I love that move, taking 2 yellows right now. Rob wants the same thing for his row 2, but the yellows are disappearing fast. And there it is. Well predicted. Flowers coming together now, exactly what he wants for his row 4. He'll be finishing his column. I wouldn't be surprised to see a blue take here, just for row 4. What do you think? In a situation like this, he throws everything together. Forget my question. What do you think of this move?
I like that he got finished a row with it, because he's not going to get enough turns this round to really get those top 3 if he starts a row and then has to come back with 1 more. So if he had taken 2 reds, hoping to get a red for like the 3rd row, he was going to struggle to get that. So he just finished a row with the single tile. And I think he's hoping that 3 blues come together.
And look at that. He's pulled 2 blues together for his 4th row, 2 yellows for his 2nd row. I think this was a very high-level move to combine the yellows because it turned Jim off to finishing his 3rd row here. He didn't want to throw 1 on the floor. He already has 2 -1s. And that allowed him to steal these 2 yellows out from under Jim's nose. Brilliant play.
He's probably thinking about which of the other colors he would like to put in row 4 or 5. He'll have another turn. He would like to not put them on the floor for negatives.
Right. Do you think he needs to think about his 10-point, like getting black so that he can finish every black, or are the columns more important here?
I think the columns are more important because it's so hard to get all 10 of a color, just because that row 5 is really hard to get. So once you've gotten your row 5, getting 2 of those or getting another black, getting 5 more blacks is difficult for Boomy. So I think that mostly 10-point is more of a threat as you start getting late, that, you could pivot if other things get blocked and you can still score the 10, but it doesn't ever feel like the right strategy for me when I play to really go for it. If I were Boomy, I would be hoping for the 2 flowers, the whites in row 4, because that would pair adjacencies, above and to the left with other tiles when it gets finished. That would be better than some of the other colors.
Now let's see if he goes for it. He could take 2 blacks or 2 flowers here. I'm going to bet he takes the blacks just so that we have a disagreement here. Let's see who's right.
Jim definitely wants the blacks, but being 13 points behind already, feeling like he's not getting that row. Well, he did take those blacks.
Yes, I win the bet we didn't really make. That is a small block to Jim. Even more than those 13 points is just the setup of his board being split and having fewer tiles complete so far. That can be just as important as points in the middle game here. And there's the first column complete for Jim. Abacus with a solid round. He would have liked to finish row 4 so that his flower in row 5 scores the entire column. But row 3, very important to keep your block connected. We'll do Jim with the first turn. What do you think of this board?
See, not yes. I was just about to say there weren't a lot of blues, and Abacus is going to have to take blues for row 4 at some point. Yeah, I mean, he's really threatening another column with yellow in 3, blue in 4.
We are going to see hotly contested whites here because Abacus needs them for his row 3. Boomy Crawdad needs them for his row 4. Every single player is going to be piling onto whites. Abacus looking at that one black saying, can I be the start player? The answer is not easily.
No, that does not look worth it.
Rob was very unlucky with this distribution, seeing 3 blues on one factory, the others all single. No pairs, which is what he needs. A pair on row 2 and a pair on row 4.
I would expect him to try to take whites for row 3.
Oh, he's so greedy for blues. He just wants to finish that column and keep up. This seems like a great draw for Boomy Crawdad. He needs black, he needs yellow, and there's tons of both. So his row 3 is looking very comfortable.
Yeah, and if he gets that row 3, he's really threatening the 10 points as well with black.
Round 4, it's tough to predict what's going to come out because the bag has just been remixed in a 3-player game. So that probably means not very many blacks in the final poll here in round 5. You can actually click the bag here. There's a little tidbit on Board Game Arena. If you click the bag in Azul, you can see how many tiles are left.
There's only 6 out of those 36 are black, because there's already 14 that you can see right now.
That is a major shortage. So if you want black, take them now. And Ulti Jim does exactly that, taking 2 black onto his row 2. Abacus not waiting, finishing his... Maybe not. He may want the other one. I don't feel like it's a huge rush to steal these blue because he needs exactly 1. And Ulti Jim needs exactly 1. No one else really wants any, so maybe they'll be able to share those later on.
It's looking tough for Abacus at this point. He's not setting himself up for any of the other rows. He hasn't, and has a lot of challenges. So while it looked okay coming into this round, after the way the tiles came out, I'm not liking his position anymore.
1 red. This is a creative play. Yeah, I like this. He sees that the other 2 red are not really demanded by other players.
Yes. And he took something from the middle, so he didn't spill more, so there's going to be extra turns. So there's a chance for him to get 2 reds, get his blue, and maybe get some other things.
Boomy Crawdad with 1 black. Looks like we might be seeing a lot of yellows in the middle here. Abacus board, if he takes 5 yellows, will actually have all the yellows complete.
Yes, I'm sure he's been looking at that, trying to figure out how to stay in this game and stay close to Boomy's score.
If Boomy Crawdad steals those 3 on the 3rd round, then the chance is over. So he's got to take them now or never, leaving the 2 reds exposed for even longer. Let's see if he goes for them.
The reds don't add value to anyone else, so they're unlikely to be stolen other than a block.
And he goes for the 3 yellows. Good move. Boomy Crawdad setting up a huge score if he finishes his 2nd column here. Ulti Jim says it's been long enough. He takes 1 of those blues. What do you think? Does Abacus need to take the other blue now, or can he just wait?
I was just about to say that I think he can wait. Again, it doesn't score anyone else, so they would have to be spiteful to take it and dump it when other things might be better.
It looks like he may be able to steal a pair of yellows with this move. This could be a good round for Abacus in the end.
Yeah, he gets the yellows or the blue, but it's not going to come around for 2 turns.
That's tough.
He's going to really have to choose.
Does he go for the yellows or the blue? But why can't he have both? It looks like he'll have 2 rounds.
Oh, he will now.
It's kind of best for every player that he takes 2 yellows, because Boomy Crawdad definitely wants the black. Ulti Jim wants the other yellow. It's funny, Boomy Crawdad did not finish row 3. At the start of this round, I said, row 3 is going to be so easy for him. And then he deals everything else except that. But it's like you said, prioritize row 3 at the start of the game. Near the end, there might be more points elsewhere. Abacus with 1 yellow. Interesting decision.
If Boomy wants to put those onto row 3 and just start it, it blocks him from getting all the 10 points for black. So he really can't.
Boomy throws the blue away. This game is crazy. What is going on? I thought for sure he'd take the black. Defense, right? Forcing Ulti Jim to block the other option.
I think Boomy was counting on the black still being there, but now I think it's going to be thrown away. Yeah.
Everyone has ruined everyone. I was saying this was the only move that helps everyone. Well, this is the sequence where everyone loses. Crazy. So we're going to see some lower scores, but it's hotly contested.
Would be really interested in seeing what the scores would have been if they played the kind of peaceful version where they allowed everyone to get exactly what they wanted. See how
The,
different it would be.
the
But
peaceful
Ultigym
variant.
has climbed right back in this game. It's very tight going in this last round.
Yeah, this isn't too bad for Rob. He's going to get the column and he's going to get the 10 points there. Boomy Crawdad with 2 columns. So the question is, does he also get the 10 points?
Unlikely. Would need all 4 of the blacks to get the 10 points. 2 yellows denies Rob a little bit. Jim is going to take a yellow at some point for row 1, or will want to. So if he took 2 and put it in row 3, he could really put the pressure on.
2 yellows for Boomy. Then a single yellow could be taken immediately by Ultigym, shutting Rob out of the endgame. He could not finish off his yellows that way. And the scores are so close, 37 to 36 to 36. It all comes down to this last round.
I think I was going to say there was a decent chance that Boomy could get all 5 rows, but only if he got the yellow, I guess, in row 3. I don't think anyone's going to let him get all 3 blacks. Boomy's going to finish those first 2 rows as well. He'll get a white and 2 reds.
Well, Rob is very grateful to get his 2 yellows.
Unfortunately, those are not going to score. That's going to be a 1-point play as well.
Common trap for new players looking at the 10 points saying, wow, that's way better than 7 points. But scoring 7 and then also scoring your column at the same time is actually way more points than that lone single point in the corner there. So it's actually stronger than the 10. Oh, Boomy Crawdad is going for it. 1 more black and he has a slam dunk. Who's going to block him?
I don't think Jim can. I think he really needs those reds in row 3.
Anyone who blocks Boomy Crawdad will lose as a result. What a bold play to just take blacks in front of their noses. Can Rob afford to take the black? It looks like suicide. The new plan, I think, is to create a gigantic red bomb and try to feed it to Boomy Crawdad.
Yeah, that.
Rob doing the math. How do we make sure I don't get this bomb fed to me? On the surface, taking 1 blue makes the most sense. But he goes for the 2 blue. And he takes it from the middle. Do you see the logic there, why he goes for 2 blue instead of 1?
There might have been some logic about if he spilled, there was a play that Boomy could have done that would have meant that the reds would have fallen to Abacus. That would have put everything into the middle, and if there were the right amount of turns for it to end on Abacus, that bomb might have gone off on him.
Oh, at that point, he eats the reds. Okay, what does Boomy Crawdad do here? He wants to finish his flowers so badly because it gives him that extra column.
I mean, playing the 2 reds on row 2 gets 9 points. Or if he takes the 2 whites in the middle and plays them on either row 1 or 4, then maybe he avoids them and still gets his second column.
I like that. Exactly what you suggested. Now, Jim?
Yeah, he's going to take a yellow, I would guess, but which one?
So high scoring final round. The bomb does blow up on Boomy. What an excellent finish. What a choice now. Where do I put these 8 reds? Minus 14. Wow, this is great. Such a high score. And then minus 14. Let's see if it's enough. 2 columns for Ultigym.
It is going to be enough because the 10 points are going to send him ahead.
Abacus with 6 on the floor. It was a tough final round. 75 is the final score for Boomy.
I think it's 64 is probably Jim. Yeah.
11-point margin there. Abacus with 62. What a convincing victory. With minus 14, he still stands head and shoulders above his competition.
That was a really fun one. I really liked that he did some things that were different than I had suggested, and then to watch them work out. The 2 on row 5 in the 3rd round, I think. Really interesting play and really worked out.
I love those 2 black on row 5. Great way to score the 10 points. Glad I won that bet and glad Boomy took the championship. Congratulations, our season 5 champion.
Yeah, another great season.